You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media. You're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
For one more hour, actually, from here in Madison at Studio A2 at Civic Media World Headquarters, as they like to say here, right next to Parker Olson, who is producing things, and Dr. Kristen Lyerly is here as well. So we're going to have a lot of ground to cover in this half hour. And then Mike Clemens will be along in just a bit to talk about sports. We've got a busy weekend for the Brewers, wrapping up the regular season and then getting set for the playoffs. The Packers have a big Sunday night game coming up against Dallas. In fact, as long as I'm here, let's take care of the housekeeping right here. Let's talk about the Packers first. That game will be Sunday. It's a Sunday night game, so the pregame begins at 5 o'clock on several Civic Media stations. The Brewers, meanwhile, begin their series with the Reds at American Family Field. Tonight's pregame coverage begins at 6:35. No Badger football coverage this week because there's no Badger football game. They have this weekend off. Also wanted to let you know that we have a special edition of our Up North News daily newsletter. Ellie's put together a special edition on fall in Wisconsin, all of the very many fall festivals, Oktoberfests, a preview of some of the Halloween stuff. You heard Sharita and me talking about it yesterday, about some of those places, so read about it in our newsletter there. While you're there, you can also sign up for our Sunday morning newsletter, which includes our question of the week. This past Sunday, it was, if there's a government shutdown, who's to blame? So if you want to be the first to see our next question of the week, get signed up and get that delivered to you bright and early on Sunday morning. And while I'm promoting things, I should tell you that the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show can be heard Saturdays and Sundays, 3 p.m., in Oshkosh and Appleton on WISS 98.3 and 96.5, and Sunday mornings in the Green Bay area, 9 a.m. at 97.9 and 1590 a.m. for WGBW, or you could listen to her right now, because here she is, Dr. Lyerly. Good morning.
Good morning, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And wherever you get your podcasts.
That's the easiest way, I think.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to remember saying that one of these times, for as much as I plug my own Spotify. But yes, get it as a podcast.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And Pat, this weekend is a wow show. I just listened to it. And when we taped it, I was thinking to myself, I just feel like this is a monumentous conversation. It is some parents of a 3-year-old student who attends Assumption Catholic School in Minneapolis, and they share their story. They literally live in the backyard of this church, and they tell their story of the school shooting that happened in August, what they heard, what they did, how they've reacted, and what they're doing now. It is incredibly moving. It is so personal. Please listen.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Because, again, nothing's going to change until more people can put themselves in other people's shoes without having to be in those shoes themselves, and demand that some action finally take place. So, yes, by all means, give a listen this weekend. We do have some nice weekend plans to talk about, but I feel like we're going to reward ourselves at the end with that stuff, because there's too much, serious, or depending on your frame of mind, stupid stuff to talk about.
I promised
in the
Parker
news.
I wouldn't swear.
I know you got it out of your system during the break, and I appreciate that.
Me too.
But it is, the way I'd frame it is this: there has been a lot of pushback. There really has been, more so than maybe we might expect, over these baseless claims and bogus advisories that are coming from Trump and Robert Kennedy Jr. about Tylenol use for pregnant women. But the question is, has that blowback been nearly enough, or have the non-doctors in the White House sown medical misinformation that is going to take a long, long time for doctors like Dr. Lyerly to debunk? So, Kristen, to what degree are you encouraged by some of the public blowback? But, how much harder is this making your job for maybe the foreseeable future?
Hey, I don't care how hard my job is. I want my patients to get health care. And it is making it so hard for people to know what they're supposed to do. And for these families who are living with folks who have autism and they are looking for answers, we all want answers. So for the president of the United States, who can't even pronounce the word acetaminophen, to come out and tell people to tough it out. It's not about toughing it out. It's about treating medical conditions, headaches, fevers, other things that can affect your pregnancy in a profound and long-standing way. There is a reason people take medication in pregnancy, not just Tylenol, but lots of other things. Listen to your doctor. Let us talk you through it so that you can make really good decisions for your own individualized health. Do not get your medical advice from a politician, especially one who can't pronounce the name of an everyday medication that he has in his medicine cabinet.
Oh, like he's ever gone into his own medicine cabinet, have the butler bring whatever it is that he needs. And I just feel like this has been in attacking the misinformation. I feel like we haven't properly captured this as quite literally an attack on families with autistic children and quite literally an attack on pregnant women. I mean, these two groups have been just thrown for a loop because of this. And yes, thank goodness there's doctors like you and my wife and others to be there. But what would ever make them think, well, if we just, single out these two groups and make them frightened, that will be better for us in the long run?
Well, you have two funny assumptions there, that they're thinking and also that they care about women, because they don't. This is just the latest attack on women, on trying to control our bodies. I mean, let's be very clear here. They want women to have more babies. They don't want us to have birth control. They don't want us to get abortions, but they also don't want us to get care. They don't want us to take medications. They want us to be in pain. And when we deliver, they don't want us to have hospitals to be able to go to, because they're defunding all of our rural hospitals and making it very challenging for us even to get care. Pat, at what point are we as a society going to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, something's wrong here? I think we are reaching that point.
I would think so. And it appears that way in the polling. But again, there's a lot that can happen between now and November of next year with the midterms. But in the near term, you have, for all of the things that we talked about in Trump's big bloated boondoggle that did pass and is now the law. We've talked a lot about all the healthcare cuts. But now we're learning, because there was so much in there, because people didn't read the bill because it was massive, but that, Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood is in jeopardy, to the point where Planned Parenthood could lose out on providing its non-abortion care services at its many clinics unless they halt or at least pause their abortion services. And so that's what they're doing. Again, it's kind of a de facto ban. Here we go again, Kristen.
This is Donald Trump's backdoor abortion ban, because he knows that he can't do it through the front door. When the American people were presented with the potential for an abortion ban, the American people pushed back. So now they have to do it in all of these tricky little backdoor ways. Defunding Planned Parenthood, which means depriving Planned Parenthood of Medicaid funds because they provide abortion care, is one of those ways. Planned Parenthood, the bulk of what they do is not abortion care. The vast majority of what they do is preventive care, STI testing, birth control, cancer screening, routine care that people otherwise wouldn't be getting, because all of us don't get insurance through our employers. There are many, many people, especially young people, who get their health care through Planned Parenthood. So this is the Trump administration's way of trying to defund Planned Parenthood entirely. But in Wisconsin, we're pausing. The Planned Parenthood clinics that offer abortion care are pausing. And it is my understanding that all of those other services are still going to be there. Those clinics are going to stay open because they know that you need them, that your short and long-term health depends on them staying open for you.
And that's just the federal government. Meanwhile, at the state government level, again, lacking an abortion ban, you have the attempts to micromanage health care and a new bill introduced by Republicans that they say will clarify that even if there is an abortion ban, there are still things that can be done. They say they're addressing, those other pesky things. And so the new proposal would exempt medical procedures designed or intended to prevent the death of a pregnant woman and not designed or intended to kill the unborn child, including emergency C-section, the removal of a dead embryo or dead fetus, and procedures procedures to remove a miscarriage or an ectopic or molar pregnancy. But why even micromanage all that care in the first place when you could just allow women to have and doctors to have the full range of care options?
If the authors of that bill want to practice medicine, they should go to medical school. Otherwise, they should leave it up to the people who know what they're doing. And doing this micromanaging, spelling out which procedures are possible and which should not be allowed, just puts another barrier in between my patient and her ability to get the care that she needs. It makes me so profoundly angry because all they have is a political agenda. All they want is control and power over people of reproductive age. I cannot wait until the midterms because the conversations that I'm having with my friends, they are starting to recognize, even in a place like Green Bay, which is kind of traditionally pretty red, they're starting to recognize what this means for them, for their health, for their families, for their communities. There are economic impacts and social impacts when you really start to look at what this means for all of us. The midterms are going to be very telling, Pat.
Yes. And again, they're getting started already with multiple candidates for governor, for Congress in some districts, for legislature. So there is a lot of work that we've got to get done. However, we get to take a break now and then. And our favorite mascot, our favorite rodent, our favorite gopher is going to be busy this weekend. Gopher football for our little Minnesota alum. Are you an alumni? Whatever a graduate.
Alumni.
There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
See, Whitewater guy would know.
Well, newspaper editor, AP style, all that crap.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyway.
But before that, I get to go to Minneapolis and I get to give hugs and support to our friends at Planned Parenthood in Minneapolis who are picking up a lot of the slack, the people who are driving across the border to get the care that they need because they can't get it here in Wisconsin. So that's going to be great. These are people also, importantly, who are survivors of political violence. These people were on that list. Remember, it wasn't that long ago when that crazy person killed Senator Melissa Hortman and her husband and her dog and attacked other politicians. These people were on that list. So to be able to spend a little time with them before I go to the football game, it's going to be just amazing.
Well, and it's important to show that kind of support because, again, this has been actual deadly political violence. And they're, again, given everything that's happened in the wake after the Charlie Kirk murder, when you see what Derek Van Orden is saying and doing, frankly. I mean, we talked at the beginning of the program about the teacher in Ellsworth who, I emailed back and forth with her yesterday, and it appears that, they've worked out some kind of a resolution in that she won't be teaching for the district anymore. She can't give details on it, but I mean, a 30-year career ended because a congressman wants to limit her freedom of speech on social media. Now that in itself is not political violence. It's professional violence, basically. And this is what we have to live with in this era, sadly.
He is a peach. Also, Tony Weed. These people who are saying that they are victims of political violence, yes, they are in the public eye, and I get it. Like, we feel threatened. But when it comes to actual things that are happening, their total failure to recognize what's happening on the other side and then call it out and pretend that they are victims. I mean, they are snowflakes. Buck up, put aside all of the political divisions, and actually support each other, regardless of who you voted for or what party you stand with.
Dr. Kristen Lyerly is here, and coming up in 15 minutes, we'll be talking to Mike Clemens about a very busy weekend in sports. And then Matt Nair on Air follows at 9 o'clock with your next chance to win in the Go for the Green and Gold Text to Win contest. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Again, you can catch the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show weekends, Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. in Oshkosh and Appleton, Sunday mornings at 9 on our Civic Media station in Green Bay. Head to civicmedia.us to learn more, or subscribe to it as a podcast at Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts for the Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show.
So good.
Not too far away from you, down in Manitowoc County, the Manitowoc County Republicans had their picnic last night, and their guest speaker didn't show. And according to a story by WBAY TV, when the organizers called out to Bill Berrien's campaign and said, "Where's the candidate for governor who's going to be our keynote speaker?" they were told he's had a difficult week and will not be appearing. It might have something to do with the Journal Sentinel article about his expansive internet footprint and the trans porn star that called him out on it and said, there's nothing wrong with following trans porn stars. There's nothing wrong with liking a lot of things and being curious. What's wrong is doing those things and then coming out in favor of suppressing the rights of LGBTQ people. It is the living hypocrisy of certain family values politicians. And Kristen, I don't know him. I don't wish him ill, but I'm here for it because I believe in his freedom to surf wherever he wants. Just don't be a hypocrite when you run for office.
Ding, 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 ding. He doesn't just suppress the rights of folks in that group. Those people are afraid. I have friends who are in the trans community, and they are literally afraid to be in public because they have been so demonized. So when people like Bill Berrien step up and say things that turn others against these members of our society who deserve to be embraced and included, it creates a huge problem. It creates division. It's just bad, especially when in secret, he seems to very much support these people. Mm-hmm. And Pat, you said a big word, hypocrisy. Let's just unpack that a little bit. That's when people say one thing and do a different thing. I remember a time when people valued truth and wanted to believe what they heard and wanted to trust people. And I don't think that people have changed that much. I just think people have been hoodwinked by the successful marketing campaign of Donald Trump. He is a brilliant marketer. He can sell anybody anything. And that's been the template for Republicans in recent times. But it's not working as well as it did before. So I believe that if we continue to call people on their hypocrisy, call people like Bill Berrien, who says one thing and does another, that's going to work. That's going to break through because at our core, we still are Wisconsinites. We're still nice people. We're still neighbors.
And as I've stated before, we're not perfect people. So I want to come to the front end of all this, to Bill Berrien surfing, because I know that you have patients come in and express either concerns or curiosities or whatever the case may be. And I mean, frankly, I think it carries over into the suspect in the Charlie Kirk killing, who grew up in a very conservative family. And people want to blame, a trans roommate. I think it's more a case of the shame that we make people feel for being curious, rather than saying, look, read, research, experience, whatever. You should have the freedom to do that. Just don't hurt anybody along the way, and don't be a hypocrite because of it.
Oh, for sure. I don't care who you voted for. If you come to see me with a problem, I want to hear your problem, and I want to hear the whole thing unfiltered. It is so hard to get to that point when you're having a visit, because you first, as a patient, have to figure out if you can actually trust your doctor and the person who is listening to you. It shouldn't be that way. We all deserve to be heard. We all deserve to have good, solid information, because we are making decisions about our health and the health of our families and our communities based on that interaction. So let's be honest with each other. Let's tell the truth. Let's support each other instead of saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah, exactly. So getting back to how we escape from all of this. and it turns out we're doing something similar this weekend in hanging out with people from college. I'm spending nights with a buddy here while his wife's away, and my wife is on call and doing a Brewers game and telling stories. And, you were saying during the break just how much you're looking forward to getting back together with the drumline marching band people there, the lifelong associations that, is there anything like a friendship where you haven't spoken in maybe a year, and yet the moment you get together, it's like you're picking up right where you left off?
It's the best. I thought I was way too cool when I went to college to join the marching band. But when I did, oh, these people, they're just so good and there for you. And, it could be longer than a year. I mean, I stay in touch with my high school friends too. Those are the people who make your life rich. And yeah, they're the reason, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And a lot of times it will, it will, what's the word I'm looking for? Go beyond like politics and things that are in the news. Although there are those frustrating moments. I saw another acquaintance recently who I hadn't seen for a long time, and I knew was mostly a Republican voter. And of course, this white guy says to me, I just, Trump is just so frustrating. And if Joel Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, were on that ticket, I mean, I would have voted for it, but I just couldn't vote for Kamala Harris. And I was either too good of a friend or just too cowardly to just look and go, really? Really? Tell me again, you would have voted for the Democrat, the white guy, but you couldn't bring yourself to vote for Kamala Harris. Why is that, buddy?
Tell me why. Yeah. I guess
Let's explore
that. Next question. Why?
Yeah. And of course you can't because there's a lot going on and you're kind of getting, and that's where you walk away and just go, I clearly need to keep doing my job because there are more people to reach and there's more hypocrisy to point out.
We have to keep having these conversations and we have to keep doing it in all the different ways. And we have to invite others and stay open and all of those things.
Hey, safe travels. Have lots of fun. We'll talk to you Monday morning.
Thanks. Go Gophers.
No, well, this time for you. Yes, exactly. All right. Mike Clemens has sports coming up. A busy weekend. We'll tell you all about it after this. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Before we get to Mike Clemens and sports, let you know that, if we just gave you one doctor, Kristen Lyerly, I mean, that would be enough. That's more than enough for all the ground that she covers. We got two at Up North News. We also have the new Raising Wisconsin series with pediatrician Dr. Kelly Snooks. Look for her videos, Raising Wisconsin with Dr. Kelly Snooks on Up North News on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. And then, of course, sign up for our newsletter over at upnorthnewswi.com and sign up for Civic Media's new daily newsletter. It's on Substack. Go to civicmediatoday.substack.com and get yourself signed up for that. All right, let's start with sports here. Just a quick note on Badger volleyball. The women's team ranked 7th in the country. They're 7-1 on the season. They open the Big Ten season tonight at the UW Fieldhouse against Rutgers, coming up at 7 o'clock. And then, we've got football to talk about in a bit, but we're going to start with the Brewers, who are into the last season, or the last regular season weekend series. Easy for me to say. And here's Mike Clemens, who's joining us now to talk more about that. Mike, how are you?
Good, Pat. Yeah, Brewers tonight and the Cincinnati Reds. Reds trying to claw their way in. Brewers with the best record in baseball at 96 wins, so they've tied the franchise record. If the Brewers win one game this weekend, it's the final, as you say, it's the end of the regular season, then they clinch home field advantage. So let's say, they've been win one game this weekend, or if the Phillies lose one this weekend as they host the Minnesota Twins, that gets the Brewers to 97 wins. They'll have next week off. They'll watch what happens with the wild card playoffs, and then beginning October 4th, they will host at home when they get going into the divisional rounds. So, that's a great way or time for some of these pitchers they've got, like their closer, Trevor McGill, with a sore elbow, time to rest up and maybe be able to get back onto the mound and help out. On the other hand, it's a long time off when it comes to baseball, right? A little rusty, but waiting to see who comes on in. By the way, if you are anywhere in the Milwaukee area, you want to be sure to turn the car around and head on down to American Family Field, where they're handing out free pocket pancakes this morning. Did you see that?
Yes, we actually had that on the text line, didn't we, Parker?
We did. Jim in Brookfield, I think, was heading over there. It's National Pancake Day.
National
it's that thing where about 6 weeks ago, Pat Murphy, this character of a manager they've got, he's in the middle of a live network interview, and he whips this pancake out of his pocket, and the woman says, what is that? And I said, it's my pocket pancake, a little carb pick-me-up during these games. Around the seventh inning or so, might need a little pick-me-up. And, it went viral. It's just typical him.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the Brewers, sort of cashing in on that. They're handing out free pocket pancakes. And I'm reading here, the first 3,000 fans that show up, they get the pocket pancake T-shirt from the Brewers. They have the convenient drive-through or the pocket pancake tent where they have a polka band playing.
Oh, my gosh.
And Murph, who's got a game tonight, he's supposed to be down there in person, signing autographs.
Oh, boy.
Hanging out with the fans. So, they're having fun with that this morning in Milwaukee.
Well, let me say then, the fact that the magic number is 1, I actually like that they have something to play for this weekend for this reason. Cincinnati is still very much in the thick of things looking for a wild card spot. And
very competitive, right?
And meanwhile, the Phillies are playing the Twins, who have absolutely cratered. So there's not a lot of confidence that the Twins can even win one of those games. And so if the Brewers want that number 1 seed, they cannot just say, throw up their hands and go, we got this. They're going to have to actually play a driven Cincinnati team hard throughout this series to get that at least 1 win.
Absolutely. And, the Reds have played hard. They lost their last game by a run or so. But, no, it should be some good baseball games this weekend to keep the Brewers sharp before they have their bye next week.
That's right. And so you can hear the Brewers and the Reds. Coverage begins at 6:35 this evening on several Civic Media radio stations. Head over to civicmedia.us to learn more. One thing before we get off of baseball, and again, I don't know the particulars of it, and whether you do or not, it's just the whole notion of the collapse of the Detroit Tigers. When something historic is happening, whether it's Shohei Ohtani or Mike or Aaron Judge, or this thing with Detroit being up like 15 games in the division at one point, this is people in Detroit got to be just ripping their hair out.
Yeah, well, it's I believe it's the worst in baseball history for the month of September.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. They were 10 up at the start of the month and just absolutely collapsed. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know the particulars, if it was injuries or what it was. But, I mean, for all the good things about that, I'm not taking anything away from the Brewers. I'm just saying when they look back at this season, they'll look at the Brewers' winning streak, but they're also going to say, can you believe those Tigers?
Well, yeah, and I was just in Cleveland last week and covering the Packers game, but that's what everybody was. I mean, they could not believe that the Guardians had this opportunity, and they have now. They've, coming into this morning, they're now tied with the Tigers over there in the Central Division in the American League. Yeah, it's just unbelievable collapse for the folks in Detroit. Yeah,
that's what Tony puts on YouTube. But he says, being a Cleveland fan like he is, Cleveland has also surged, having won something like 14 of the last 15 or something like that. So so there's a lot at stake for some of these teams, and so that's
getting
great.
Hot at the right time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Boy, there's something the Badgers would like to do. The Badger football team would love to get hot at any point after losing at home last weekend to Maryland, 27-10. But despite the chance of Fire Fickle, I don't know if anything's really going to be changing there. I feel like we're kind of locked into what we got right now. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, well, the Wisconsin Badgers football team, they win their first 2 non-conference games as they should have. They lost at Alabama. Okay, no surprise there. But the overall picture is like, and even though they're having to do this with a backup quarterback because their starter got hurt week 1, what is the identity of the team? I mean, what are they supposed to be?
Yeah.
After 30 years of, strong defenses, great running game, where is this offense going in particular? And so last week, they're heavily favored to beat Maryland. It's their first game on their Big Ten schedule. And the score was 27-10, but it looked a lot worse than that. Mm-hmm. To the point where you're at home at Camp Randall on a beautiful, beautiful day. And they didn't have 100% turnout from the fans to begin with. By the fourth quarter, the place was over half empty, and the people who chose to stay are chanting "Fire Luke Fickell." I mean, it's bad. It's a bad-looking product. The next day, the athletic director, Chris McIntosh, is spotted at a Badgers volleyball game up there in the suite talking to Mike McCarthy, who made the drive down from Green Bay. And you got to imagine that Chris is saying to Mike, "Did you see the game? What do I do? Where do I go from here?"
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. On the other hand, you can say, well, it's not good for any of these college football coaches right now. The sport is in such transition with NIL, with paying players.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be maybe some of these other teams that have much more deeper topics, but the pockets. But there was a report in the Wisconsin State Journal said no, Wisconsin's actually one of the top-ranked teams in terms of what their financial resources are in bringing in players. They're supposed to have a pretty good roster. I guess you give them credit for recruiting, but it doesn't get any easier because they got a bye weekend. And then next week they got to go to Ann Arbor and play number 19th ranked Michigan, and on and on and on. I mean, it could be a month before they get a win.
Oh yeah, I mean you've got Michigan next week. Then that's followed by Iowa. That's followed the next week by number 1 ranked Ohio State. That's followed by number 6 Oregon. So this is going to be a rough patch. And yet, Mike, what I've been led to understand is between his original contract and now the extension. How did one person put it? The UW ain't got enough money to buy Luke Fickell out, even if they wanted to, because it's a very expensive contract.
Yeah, so that's the challenge, and there's one guy I was talking to who covers the Badgers says, he says, and this was Chris McIntosh's hire. It's like I don't know if he's got another coach before they might consider replacing him. So tough times for the Badgers in Madison right now.
Yep. So the Packers, meanwhile, they head to AT&T Stadium for Sunday Night Football. I assume you'll be heading down to Dallas before much longer. And can they get down there and put that collapse to the Browns behind them in time for playing the Cowboys? Can they get up for that after such a fail at the end of the game?
Yeah, well, they should. Yeah, we leave tomorrow for Dallas. Here's the situation. I'm covering that Browns game, and I'm seeing the Packers defense look great again. You're seeing the Browns defense, led by Myles Garrett, their defensive end, great pass rusher, getting pressure on Jordan Love. And if it wasn't him, it was Collins or Malik Collins or some of their other guys from that Browns defensive front. Very strong team. But for the Packers, first of all, Zach Tom tried to come back out with this very sore quad muscle.
Yes, yeah.
And in the first drive, he's like, "Oh God, I can't do this." So you got to replace him. And then Aaron Banks leaves the left guard. By the midway through the first half, they had 3 different guys on the offensive line. That led to 5 false start penalties, jumping off sides. I found out yesterday, talking to Tucker Kraft, that part of the reason for the false starts was they were screwing up what they call their silent cadence, because it was pretty loud, in that ballpark. So that was going on. And then, next thing you know, you hang around, you only go up to 10-3 or so, and you throw an interception. Your attempted field goal gets blocked, and you end up losing to the Browns. And the folks in Cleveland are celebrating. They had won a game since last November, Pat. So they, it was like they'd won a championship. So yesterday at practice, 3 of those offensive linemen still were not on the practice field, coming back from injury, and you go up against Kenny Clark and those guys and Dak Prescott. So it should be a pretty good game. And of course, it's Micah Parsons, who, by the way, you know who the leading quarterback sack guy is in the NFL right now?
Who?
Rashawn Gary.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The Packers' Rashawn Gary. So you see, Micah Parsons has opened up the doors for his teammates to get to the quarterback just because of his presence. I mean, when you see this guy with that number 1 jersey from, the press box, it looks almost like a dorsal fin, the way he weaves in and out and gets home like that. So this should be a heck of a game on Sunday Night Football on NBC.
Yeah, I mean, Rashawn Gary was the one who he was so happy with hearing Micah Parsons was coming, because he said basically other teams have to go pick your poison. You're going to get one or the other if you're not getting both. And I see a headline in the Journal Sentinel that about Kenny Clark and no hard feelings. He understands how the business works, and he's also going to try to kill the Packers now, while he's coming. So,
right.
I mean, Dak Prescott and Jordan Love, they're nothing to shake a stick at, but there's going to be a lot of watching these defensive stars at the game as well.
No, for 9 years we watched Kenny Clark drawing double teams, and this weekend it could be, backup offensive linemen that have to go against Kenny in this game on Sunday night.
Oh boy, yeah, that offensive line thing that really concerns me. Last thing I'll leave you with then, and because again I don't mean to keep reliving the Cleveland loss. However, the Jordan Love throw that was intercepted, bad play calling, bad throw, bad offensive line. Is it too simplistic for me to say just run the ball?
That's what they should have done in that down and distance. Although, I'll tell you what, I've watched that thing. I mean, the safety made a heck of a play.
Yeah.
And you got Jim Schwartz over there, the defensive coordinator from the Browns. And so they did a 3-and-1. They got three guys on the left-hand side, three receivers, one on the other. And so, you're watching Tucker Kraft come out. He's lined up outside the left tackle. He runs a little slant.
Yep.
And then Dontavian Wicks is in the middle. He runs a slant.
Mm-hmm.
And that safety faked like he was going to go cover Tucker Kraft. And as soon as the ball came out, he went back to cover Wicks. So he baited Love and ended up getting the pick and game-changing, and pretty good play by the Browns safety.
It was, and let's take nothing away from that. Mike Clemens, thank you. Safe travels. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Pat.
We'll be back to wrap things up here after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Hey, remember, you can be the first to see our question of the week by subscribing to our Sunday morning newsletter, Sunday Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com, click subscribe in the top banner, and be a subscriber to the weekend edition, the weekday edition as well. And then follow this show. Head over to Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure that you don't miss a single episode, like the one yesterday when I first got in here to Studio A2 in Madison. And we're ending as we began here. Bathed in a blue light.
Bathed in blue.
And all the other things that Todd Alba, this is Todd Alba's doing, by the way. This is. Luke offered to do it. Todd actually executed it. I mean, there are sandbags. There's warning tape all around here. All these cords for all these lights he's got plugged in.
Yeah.
Just to have a backdrop, instead of it being a white wall, is a monitor with the wrong show logo in it, but it's got a logo.
It's on brand.
And I noticed that next to that is the window out to the bullpen, where all the cubicles are.
Yep.
And we left the shutters open, where I'm expecting John and Gordy or Alba or Mathers at some point to stand at the window and do dumb things.
Well, Pat, I hate to break it to you. You're getting up there a little bit. You don't quite pitch a full game anymore. You're not pitching complete games.
I didn't mean
sometimes.
that kind of a bullpen.
No.
There's nobody coming in.
There's
here.
no relief pitchers coming in.
We take this all the way through.
Oh.
Absolutely. But this has been fun. It's been good coming down here and being able to connect with everybody.
Good to have you here. I really like it.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
And get to do fun things like the Brewer game that's coming up tomorrow. I hope.
I was gonna say I'll see you there. Maybe I'll run into you. Still
working on the ticket end of it. The other thing about coming to Madison, especially being a former legislator, somebody who's run for office previously, is you just can't help but see people, and that's exactly what was happening yesterday. I was I was meeting people over coffee or over lunch or whatever. And I'd finished what I thought was the last one, and I'm heading back to one of the parking ramps here. I walk out onto one of the small side streets, and who do I see dining together on the sidewalk but State Representative Christian Phelps and Heather Dubois-Bourdon from the Wisconsin Public Education Network.
There you go.
And Christian is on the Assembly Education Committee. So we had a wonderful chat. And
Just crashing their dinner.
Crashing, yep, and getting some great guest ideas. And so yeah, there's work that gets done at these things. It's not just all, coffee and donuts.
It's all about networking.
There's a lot of networking that goes on here. That is very much the case. So before we go, we have the history lesson, and when time allows, we look at the National Day calendar or some of the entertainment stories. We mentioned National Pancake Day. Were there any other national days that we missed for today? It's Better Breakfast Day, because this is Build a Better Breakfast Month. Yeah. So today was supposed to be Better Breakfast Day.
I guess.
I failed at that.
I did too. I just had my fruit snacks.
Yep. We've got the world's biggest coffee mornings. World's biggest coffee.
It has to do with like a cancer fundraiser or something. I think.
Okay.
I gave it a little.
I thought it was skimming. Like world's best coffee. Kind of like that scene in Elf. When
I don't remember that.
When Will Ferrell, sees world's greatest coffee in the window, and he sticks his head in there and goes, "Congratulations, you did it!"
Yes, I do remember that now.
And it's Lumberjack Day for whatever reason. So give Sean Duffy a hug, I guess, if you see him today. From an entertainment standpoint, what do we got going on here?
What do we got going on? Well, the ratings are officially in from Jimmy Kimmel's first live show.
What a failure he is. I'm sure the president called him a failure. And what did the president end up doing to Jimmy Kimmel's audience?
Well, his ratings they're so awful. He only had 6.3 million viewers in this one. That is a 343% increase.
That's
what
good,
he normally
right?
Gets.
That's good. I mean, Donald Trump should want that for his own, personal wealth or ratings for The Apprentice or anything like that. Oh, by the way, speaking of The Apprentice.
Oh, boy.
Let me do this.
Oh, I know.
Among the conversations I was having yesterday with people, some political people in Madison, and we said how odd it was that Tom Tiffany did not get Donald Trump's endorsement right away. And this person had the best response, said he does not care about Tom Tiffany. I mean, Tom Tiffany, how many times has Trump, just cut somebody loose who is so loyal, but whenever it's expedient to him? And this person pointed out, what does Trump like? Trump likes the show. He likes the game. He likes kissing up. In other words, he likes The Apprentice. And so if he doesn't endorse Tiffany right away, then Josh Schoeman stays in there, the Washington County executive. I'm sorry, Bill Berrien, you've already been voted off the island. But Josh Schoeman has every reason now to keep thinking he might get Trump's endorsement. And so much like an episode of The Apprentice, Trump is basically playing these two off each other, Tiffany and Schoeman, as far as who can kiss up the most, who can, compliment him the most. And he just kind of keeps that endorsement dangling out there, which frankly could really weaken Tom Tiffany. It's not wrong to describe him as the presumptive nominee simply because of his name ID. But if he doesn't get Trump's endorsement and Josh Schoeman's out there conceivably getting it, that can only hurt Tiffany, in the long run. So the smart thing to do would be to endorse Tiffany right away and not worry about a divisive primary. But then you wouldn't have The Apprentice. And so that's what Trump's got going right now, is an episode of The Apprentice. Well, The Apprentice is not anymore. The Office is not anymore. But there's a spinoff of The Office that's on, right?
Yeah, The Paper, which apparently, according to our very own Pete Schwaba, who has seen the pilot episode of the show, his advice for the show is to just bring back the Office actors.
Because apparently there's like an Office cast guest appearance, like somebody from the show
like
comes
that.
on.
They might be a writer, I think. Yeah.
And he's like, how about you just bring the entire cast back and call it The Office?
Yeah. I
guess it was that bad. I don't know.
The translation to me is just don't do spin-offs and reboots. Just leave it as it was.
If you want to be inspired by something, yes. But if it's so blatant that you're just going to the same well over and over again, then maybe not do that. Yeah. But shows have started off very slow and then caught on later. Yeah, so maybe that happens. Maybe that happens when you make a sitcom about a newspaper, because newspapers are doing so well these days. So we'll see. Have a fun weekend. Have fun at the Brewers game.
Well, thank you.
Maybe we'll see each other
too.
I hope so. We'll see how that all pans out. Thanks to all of you for joining us here from Madison as well. I'm Pat Kreitlow, founding editor of Up North News, part of Courier Newsroom, a pro-democracy news network. Have a great weekend. See you Monday morning back here up north.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.